Hi guys, today we talk about actionable change that that can help the Jamaican fish farmers to achieve what they are to achieve. It makes no sense that I hear rambling about what needs to be done and policymakers and all that, and I not try to bridge the disconnect that exists, right? The reality of the Jamaican tilapia fish farmers is that we have more small farmers in tilapia backyard farming than large farmers. A matter of fact, years ago when I did a feature on tilapia farmers, trading right at Twickenham Park there, where I was talking about, how they actually keep the fish and sell the fish to passers by. Persons who share that they purchase their fish from Donny Bunting and that they have their mechanism as to keep the fish, and as soon as the fish is out, they would go and buy more, right? So there's some connection there, right, in which they have no qualms about regarding how the process is, but my discussion is regarding the disconnect is that if they become a little bit more independent and be able to get their own thing started, and from the pond to the sales, retail, they will probably achieve more, right? Thinking about the cost of feed and fingerlings, I did a video a few years ago again, where in which Omar Newell, he's now a politician, he spoke about his company being engaged in sales of tilapia feed, good quality feed, but again his costing to purchase his feed is too high, where he shared that at that time he only sell a maximum of one container load. I know guys, one container load is a lot and it requires a lot of money just to clear that one container load, just to get that amount of fish feed purchase and to transport, and so you're talking about millions of dollars, guys, right? So I have been doing the work in the background, trying to get a feedback as to where the energy needs to be at. All right, so for me, policymakers speak in vision, right, while farmers live in logistics, right? And it also points back to Omar Newell's interview with regard to his his company at the time, regarding the feed, right? Licensing and inspection feels like what you call it, a sport. It feels like a hurdle to jump. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, rather than a hands up, like a what you call it now, than a hand up, right? In the sense that you are able to, right? It's my opinion that we must stop viewing extension officer as a compliance police and start seeing them as technical business consultants. But one of the problems in which I think Jamaica has, as far as the extension officer, which is a part of the rural agricultural agency, right? Right, is that there tend to be a small amount of extension officer in comparative to the amount of farmers that are needed, especially when it comes on to aquaculture, right? To move to me, I believe that tilapia fish farmers need to move beyond their comfort zone, right? Extension of services must be provided in real time and value, right? That and that's how I see the extension officers working probably in my mind, right? Having mobile diagnostic kits. Officers should carry portable water quality kits, DO, pH, ammonia, package, test water and soil sensors. Instead of saying your water looks fine, they provide some amount of technical reading, and that proof is there as they do their work on site, and don't say that they will come back to give you a test or they will come back to give you a report because the report is not available. But if they are helping you on spot at a time where you have actually made the appointment, and they are there, you are there, so that probably solution is discussed, shared, assessed and implemented, if possible immediately, right? The RADA app integration is a good idea, right? The use of existing RADA mobile infrastructure to allow farmers to upload photos of diseased fish or water clarity issues for instant remote image is a good idea. My question is, to what extent the RADA app integration is responded to by real RADA specialists within aquaculture, right? Or is it artificial intelligence, right? But it's a good move. It's a good look so far. And then talking about production benchmarking, officers, like I believe that officers should just inspect, shouldn't just inspect. They should analyze, as I shared earlier, right? Farmer Brown, your feed conversion rate is 1.8, but the top 10% in Clarendon is at 1.4. Let's look at your feeding schedule, right? And then as a result of that discussion, some changes made, and you see some real positive difference in your tilapia food fish production. There are a lot being said by politicians, and politicians are just mere policymakers. Policymakers, they make policies, they make laws, they suggest ideas, right, that are streamlined through their technocrats, right? However, the real work is made, or should I say, is done through what you refer to as the ministry, right? And the ministry has its different departments, but to some extent the departments are understaffed, right? And I know that it's a crunch as far as getting a budget that can manage the full complement of staff that is needed, right? Let's get back to the discussion, right? Actionable strategy. The cluster feed mode, right? Feed is, let's say, 70% of the cost, right? Policymakers talk about subsidies, but farmers need sovereignty, right? Low feed formulation. I believe that extension officers should facilitate feed clusters. Instead of every small farmer buying retail bags, a group of 10 farmers use a shared small-scale pelletizer to process local raw material like lucania or cassava-based mixes, vetted by the National Fisheries Authority. But here's the thing, guys, the machine and the whole dynamics of it, the technicality of it, would need guidance from spaces like the RADA office. So here, come back again to the RADA office and the integration of policymakers. Now, if the government could give the small tilapia fish farmers or small farmers in fish keeping some head start, helping us to get that feed, mix up and running. And then even if we have to pay a little more than what we are paying for the locally produced feed right now, that will be okay. But once it is less than the one that is the expensive ones that are being imported, it will be super cool. I understand Omar Newell's interest in getting the feed and his company, chiming in and importing and selling. But honestly, large farmers alone can afford that, right? The extent in which the large farmers alone can afford that, guys, Danny Bunting would probably import probably 2 containers or 3 containers, and it would serve him for a while, right? And those 2 containers cost millions of dollars, right? And sometimes he might just, out of the goodness of his heart, choose to sell some smaller tilapia fish farmers a few bags, right? And as a good businessman, you can't undersell certain things, so you have to sell at least at market value. So they are still going to be expensive. It's just that the availability of them is there, but the expense still stands, right? To me, the extension officers KPI shift from number of visits to percentage reduction in feed costs for their zone is of paramount importance, right? The wild card in all of this is the community hatcheries, right? I believe that for each, at least for each county, let's start with county, right? Because I know, and I have an extensive feature on the new hatchery that is being built, and I don't want to go too much into that, right? The wild card is the seed stock, right? Having fingerlings available to persons who wish or desire to go within the business, the tilapia fish farming business. We have 3 counties in Jamaica: Cornwall, Middlesex, and Surrey. What if we could strategize and have at least 3 central government hatcheries that facilitate tilapia fish farmers throughout the island? So if you're in St. Thomas, you wouldn't have to go to St. Catherine to get tilapia fingerlings, and if you're in Montego Bay, you wouldn't have to come to St. Catherine for tilapia fingerlings. So at least 1 hatchery would be located within a central location within the county in which one lives, right? So I'm not going to parish it or town or village. I'm just, suggesting that the wild card here regarding seed stocks could be within the county, right? I believe that train leads farmers to become satellite hatcheries. The logic: if 5 elite farmers in each parish are licensed and trained by extension officers to produce high quality sex reverse fry, the supply chain becomes anti-fragile. The extension officer becomes the quality auditor of these private hatcheries, ensuring that the whole parish has access to, let's say, 5 million fries annually instead of just 1 million currently. That is at the central hatchery space located at Twickenham Park, right? I believe a new contract needs to be hatched, and this contract should start with the policymaker. Policymakers should start measure success by the number of license issue. Measure it by the pounds of fish per acre, right? Now you hear politicians, government, ministers, they would stand up in parliament and they would announce that we gave, or we distributed X percentage of, or X percentage more of licensing for the year, let's say 2024, 2025, in comparative to 2023, 2024, right? Now, we have not heard the 2026 sectoral debate as yet, so we are waiting to see what will happen. For the farmer, I believe that extension officer should be held accountable. Don't ask, can I have permit, right? Ask, how do I optimize my oxygen level to double my stocking density? So it shouldn't be where in which a tilapia fish farmer is asking an extension officer for permission to extend or to better his or her farming situation, but ask what are the steps to take. Right now, in closing this long piece, right, I believe that actionable change in Jamaica's fish industry isn't found in a 50-page PDF file or in a budget presentation, sectoral budget presentation by the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries in Jamaica. I believe that actionable change is found in evidence-based partnership. So there should be a partnership between the extension officer with a sensor and a farmer with a pond, right? So it's a collaborative, what do you call it? A collaborative effort. Now, in closing, right? I believe that right now the list is the whole idea of water quality. Data, according to data, right? No test, no successful visit. Every time an officer visit, no test is done, right? They just look and say everything looks okay, and that's it. It's just like a peripheral thing, right? As far as group buy, farmer feed cooperative, I believe a feed cooperative probably could work, and that will enhance the quality feed. Hey guys, there's a lot of tilapia backyard fish farmer, that is out there, especially in Clarendon. I know that because I supply them with fingerlings, right? And if we have a feed cooperative with 3 neighbors to negotiate wholesale prices, or share a little processing plant, but still, guys, we're gonna have to get some amount of approval from some of the agencies that exist, whether it be NEPA or RADA or government or something, right? But it is just a suggestion, right? Digital proof. To me, record your daily feed intake and mortality. You can't optimize what you did, what you did not measure. So what is happening right now, as far as fish farming is concerned, even in normal land farming, a lot of farmers are not recording, writing down what is happening. So you did something, whether on your crops or in the pond, and you observe something happening, write it down. It's just like when you go to the doctor. Before the doctor treats you, the doctor asks you, what did you eat this morning? How do you feel? Do your head hurts? Do you feel like you want to go to the bathroom? And the doctor does all the physical and asks you question as he does the physical. Now, as a farmer, what you should do, you should practice the medical strategy, where which you make notes of your daily routine and observe what is happening, especially when it comes on to feed, right? Because this is the proof that there needs to be some additional intervention somewhere, somehow. All right, so in ending, total ending, right? Apply a satellite hatchery. So in addition to the cooperative feed cooperative, right? If we as tilapia fish farmer have a satellite hatchery, status, if you have if you have a tilapia hatchery, you'll have consistency in supply, and also we would have our own seed supply, right? I can say that how I started was just going adventure, right? Going out, seeing the fish, catching the fish, carrying the fish home, and putting the fish into a container. And from there, it just started observation. So some of the things that I shared at the first sections of my tilapia journey, I realized that they had changed drastically by the time I had completed 2 years in tilapia, because I'm now learning, right? And I learned by anecdotals and by actually skipping the book and reading, going on the internet and reading. And that's how I learned. But yeah, I understand some fish farmers might not be that literate. No disrespect, but it's a fact. And some persons are impatient as far as they start a fish farm today and they want to see growth tomorrow, and they do not put in enough work for all of this. Well, guys, again, I gone 21 minutes, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. Yeah, I am willing to go all in talking about all this, guys. Peace out. Catch you next time. Bye bye.